Hello and welcome to the Fantasyland Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Short. 2 and a bit weeks away from the start of the regular season, which is super exciting. Drafts are kind of taking effect at the moment. We're seeing a few. There'll probably be a couple this weekend, but mainly in the next 2 weeks, drafts are going to go absolutely bonkers. So now's the time where we should be looking at, if we don't have our pick, we should be looking at different plans, the sort of players that we want to attack, sleepers, busts, all that sort of stuff. Good news is the draft guide is out. I've dropped the draft guide 25% down to 20 Australian dollars, which should make it a little bit more affordable and a little bit more of a easy justification if you are in a free league or a cheaper league. There's also the draft guide cheat sheet, which is out for $11 Australian as well, which has just got your rankings, a couple of sleepers, a couple of busts. The full draft guide's got everything. Your rankings, 20 sleepers, a few more than that, 20 busts, thereabouts, full team breakdowns, players that I like on each team, players that I'm fading on each team. We've got stats that you can chase late. We've got... what else have we got on there? I've got it in front of me. Why don't I just look? Schedule. We've got deflections. We've got assist turnover and why. The plays that you can target. If you're in a 9-category league, for example, there are plays that you can target that have got high assists and the turnovers aren't going to absolutely destroy your team. Turnovers don't need to be a tanking category depending on who you select. So there are guys that have high assists and very low turnovers that will help in that area. Early in your draft, so I'll break it down for early rounds. I'll break it down for mid to late rounds as well on players that you can target there. Deflections, I've taken a look at how deflections and steals correlate, and players based on last year, players that had high deflections and low steals, players that had low deflections, high steals, and bringing them back to the mean and bringing them back to what the average was for the top players in those categories. And it was pretty interesting. There's some guys that you can get probably later in your draft that should have some pretty high upside whenever it comes to steals. And it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to look at. It was good fun to look at as well. What else is there? I've got sophomores, players that I'm targeting in the second year breakout space. Rookies, ones that I'm looking at, ones that I'm fading. Fading a couple of ones that are probably going to be a little bit surprising, but that's okay. That's what this is all for. And then a couple of different things about draft strategies for category leagues. As I said, what you get in the full guide is a lot different to what you get into the cheat sheet. So take a bit of a look if you are in a paid league, in a somewhat decently paid league. Maybe the draft guide, the full draft guide's your way to go. If you are in a free league, maybe the cheat sheet's the way to go. But now that I've done all of that spieling, let's talk top 20 rankings. So what I'm looking at here is category leagues. I'm taking into account 8 category and 9 category. There is a little bit of a tiny bit of a change, but the top guys are studs. So it doesn't really bother me too much. I'm looking at guys in this top 20 range that have got high upside, who also have got fairly high floors as well. So even if they, I say in different situations, even if they do have a down year, you're still going to get elite production out of them. So number one on my list, and number one who should go in most places undisputably, is Nikola Jokic. He is an absolute stud. There's no two ways about it. He's going to pretty well support you in every single category that you're looking for. He was a number one player last year for a reason. High points, high boards, high assists, decent defensive stats considering he's not a defensive monster. You've got amazing percentages as well. A 3 a game. Like I think that he's just somebody that should go number one and can take you wherever you need to go. Doesn't hinder you in anywhere. He's the right guy to take with your first pick. Giannis Antetokounmpo, and from probably 2 to 6, 7, I think there's a lot of interchangeable players. It depends on Like, I think at that point you kind of just get your guy. If there is players that you want mid to late in your draft that will help support somebody that you're looking to take in the earlier rounds, do that. There's no point taking somebody like a Joel Embiid if you're also going to be taking, if you're also eyeing off a lot of bigs later in your draft and you're capped at center, for example. Or on the other hand, there's no point taking somebody like, say, James Harden or Steph Curry if you're then planning on just taking guys who aren't going to support those categories. If they're not going to help win assists, because Harden is not going to win assists on his own. So keep that in mind. Get your guy. Get whoever you want with 2 to 7. I don't think there's really too much of a bad pick there. But for me, I had the second pick. I'm taking Giannis. Reason for it, and I was low on Giannis last year because there was a regression on his stats, and mainly his defensive stats over the last 3 or 4 years prior to that. He rectified that last year, and he had a really, really nice season. So I like the fact that Giannis has worked on his free throw percentage. He's worked on his 3-pointers, so that he's not going to be elite in any of those categories ever, but he's going to be able to keep people honest. And that's all you need. So I like Giannis for the fact that, yes, you're going to get elite percentages. You're going to get elite rebounds. You're going to get good assists and good defensive stats out of his position as well. As I said, the free throw probably puts you into a little bit of a free throw tank build just because of his volume. But you take the good with the bad with Giannis, and I think that he's going to have another monster year and show why he is one of the best guys in the league. So Giannis at 2 for me. I've got KD at 3. Probably not dissimilar to why I've got Jokic at 3. Does a bit of everything. Really good for both percentages. Really good for boards. Really good for assists. A lot of places have got him listed at 6.5 to nearly 7 assists per game. I don't see that with Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving back, and I guess they're healthy. I think KD's more of a 5 assists a game kind of guy. But even still, he's got really good 3-point percentages. He's going to get you a steal. He's going to get you a block. He's just good. KD's elite. He's a scorer. He's going to go close to leading the league in points per game as well. So, I really like KD at 3. Again, he doesn't hurt you anywhere. He's elite everywhere. The only thing that I would be a little bit wary about with KD is potentially games missed. Before his big injury, he was really good at staying on the court, considering how slender and how lengthy he is. But I really like KD. I think he's a really good fantasy option and someone who tends to slide a little bit in drafts. But I've got him at the 3rd overall player. I've got Joel Embiid at 4. I think that he's just last year and the year before, to be fair, the year before last, he was pretty outspoken about how he wasn't really in contention for the MVP due to the games played caveat. And last year he played more games than he's ever played before. I read somewhere that he got a coaching to help when he falls. So whenever he gets contact and he falls, to limit any potential strain on his body and falling in the right way, which is, to be fair, something that AD could probably use. But he's an absolute monster, is Embiid. As I said, the concern that I've got with him is games played. He's got a history of not playing games. Philly right in their window, so I do think that he is going to play more games, or close to as many games as he did last year. I think 70 is the over-under mark there, which you'd absolutely take at the start of the season for Embiid. He's going to get you 50% from the field. He's going to get you over 80% from the line. He's going to get you a triple. He's going to get you 30 points a game. He's going to get you 12 boards. Assists, yeah, maybe 3 or 4. Steals and blocks, he's going to get you a total of 2.5 to 3 stocks on a game. He's just really good. As I said, the concern with him is obviously games played, but Embiid's a weapon. And he'll tell you that himself, obviously. So yeah, I've got Embiid listed at 4 there. Luka, I've got at 5, and I was a bit unsure about Luka at 5 because he he can miss games himself. He plays a pretty aggressive and pretty high usage style of basketball. His percentages are okay. His field goal is okay. His field goals are pretty decent actually for a guard. But he puts up a lot of volume, which can hurt if he's off. Free throw percentage, 75%. Again, high volume, so it's okay. He's going to get you 3 triples a game. He's going to get you 30 points a game. He's going to get you close to a triple-double a game, a steal and half a block. He does have really high turnovers as well. He is now missing Jalen Brunson. Obviously, we could potentially slide in Spencer Dinwiddie there, but and they've obviously got Christian Wood, so the pick and roll game should be pretty strong. As I said, the concern I've got with Luka is turnovers and its free throw percentage. Defensive stats is okay. He doesn't really do too much there, but they're not really asking him to because of the amount of workload he does in the offensive end. But Luka is an absolute game changer whenever it comes to out-of-position boards for the point guard spot, as well as getting you some really high assist numbers. He's also really consistent with that as well. Every single game he's going to get you 25 to 30 points. He's going to get you 7 to 10 boards. He's going to get you 7 to 10 assists. There's not too many games where he is completely under that or completely over that. So that's why I like Luka at 5. There's a real shortage of elite assist guys in the league. And if you want your assists, you need to get your assists early. So that's why I think Luka is borderline a top 5 player, because he'll be able to help in a lot of those places. As I said, it was the next couple of guys here are again interchangeable. As I said, I think that 2 to 7, and now looking at it, probably 2 to 9, I think is really interchangeable. Again, get your guy. If you don't like Luka, don't take Luka. Take somebody else, and it's not going to be a bad pick. But 6, I've got Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns is an absolute weapon. I don't think that he is going to hurt too much with the inclusion of Rudy Gobert into that starting lineup. I do think that they're going to stagger those two quite a bit, so Rudy Gobert will be able to feast whenever Cat's not on the court, vice versa. And they're going to make it work. They're professionals. Obviously, they'll make it work. But Cat is going to be a 25-point-a-game kind of guy, 8-9 boards, 4 assists, a block, a steal, good percentages, couple of triples. He's always been a 50-odd% shooter. My concern is that drops a little bit because he thinks that he's the greatest big man shooter of all time, which again, not accurate. But he's good enough to stretch the floor. In fact, he's really good. So he'll stretch the floor a lot. He'll put up a lot more triples than what he has previously because he's got the protection on the inside from Rudy Gobert. So I think we're likely to see more than 2 triples a game, but we're also likely to see a drop in field goal percentage, and we're probably also likely to see a drop in free throw percent, free throws taken. So that volume there could drop by 1 or so a game. But I love Cat. I'm a Cat guy. I really like what Minnesota's doing as well. They're really, really exciting. There's a couple of guys there that I will be taking or looking to take in the early rounds. Anthony Edwards is the other one. But yeah, Cat is the guy there right now. So I've got him at 6 again. It could be earlier. Take your guy. You can take him at 2 if you want. I've got no issues with that. 7 and 8 I've got as pretty interchangeable. So I've got Steph at 7 and I've got Lillard at 8. A lot of places are showing Lillard in the second round. A lot of ADPs are showing Lillard mid to late second. And if you believe that you can get him mid to late second in your draft, credit to you. I think that if anybody does that, they're absolutely foolish to do so, because Lillard is healthy. He's going to play close to 80 games, and he is in a team that's going for it now. No CJ McCollum. Obviously, you got Anthony Simons in the starting lineup. I don't see Simons as being as big of a usage guy as CJ McCollum. I think he'll play a similar sort of role to what McCollum did in his probably last year or so, which is just putting up triples, helping spread the floor for Lillard. But I can't skip over Steph before I go to Lillard. Back on Steph. Steph is a league winner whenever it comes to triples. He's going to get you 25 to 27 points a game. Elite from the line. He's going to get you 5 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal. Really good with low turnovers as well. My big concern about Steph is coming off a championship run or championship winning season. I think that they're going to rest him a bit. Jordan Poole is obviously somebody that they view quite highly. I have my reservations about Jordan Poole, but they really like him. So they're going to give him plenty of minutes, and they're going to let Steph rest when he needs to rest. So I think that Steph is a concern for missed games. He's getting to an older age as well. His body has never been amazing. So I've got my reservations on Steph, which is why I've got Lillard just behind him, because I think that they are interchangeable. In fact, I'm looking at the projections here, and I would almost rather take Lillard. A lot of places got him projected for 27 or 25 points a game. I think he's going to be closer to 30. Lillard is just a weapon, and he doesn't get the same sort of recognition as Steph does, because Steph is Steph. Steph's got the accolades. Steph is the greatest shooter of all time. But when it comes to fantasy, Lillard is right there. So, again, interchangeable. If somebody wanted to take Lillard second overall, it would be bold, but I would be okay with that. I've got an early pick in a couple of drafts, and I'm thinking of taking Lillard. There is an element of the fact that I really like Lillard as a player. I really like the fact that he has constantly put the team on his shoulders, but also he just doesn't get the recognition that he deserves when it comes to fantasy. He's always going to be a 7.5 assists sort of guy with 3 turnovers. Great. He's going to get you a steal. Again, that's not amazing. You want a bit more from the defensive production out of your point guards, but you take that. He's going to get you 3 triples a game. He's going to get you high points. He's decent from the field for a point guard with high volume. He's great from the line with high volume. I really like him. So that's why I've got Lillard earlier than most. So I've got Lillard at 8. Behind that, and there's probably a glaring omission that I haven't spoken about so far, and a lot of places will have this guy very high. And I do have him high as well in some situations. But I think you need to be very careful when you are drafting this guy, because James Harden just misses time. He's got one leg. His hamstring is horrible. They brought in DeAnthony Melton, and they've kept on Tyrese Maxey probably for a reason, because they don't necessarily trust James Harden. But having said that, Harden has always been a top 3 pick whenever it comes to fantasy, because he is just elite. He's going to get you 25 points a game. He's going to get you a couple of triples. He is huge when it comes to the free throw line. Surprisingly, he's good from the field. 7 boards, 10 assists, thereabouts. A steal and a half, thereabouts. Half a block. He's actually not bad in the post as a defender. He gets a lot of flack for being a lazy defender, but in the post, he's not too bad. His turnovers are probably a bit higher, but again, you can offset those with the elite assist numbers, and it doesn't look too bad in isolation. But the concern is obviously missed games. There is no doubt in my mind that Harden rests. There is no doubt in my mind that we are a chance of him missing back-to-back sets, or a game in every back-to-back set, and I think they've got 14 this year, so that could be 14 games missed. He's over the age of 30. He has always struggled a little bit with weight. I have my concerns over Harden, which is why he's at 9. If we're talking per game value, he should be a top 3 guy. But we're talking total value and guys that you're going to be able to hold throughout the entire season, and Harden is somebody that I'm really concerned about. I'll be honest, I will take him. I'll probably draft him higher than this, but I'll be doing it in leagues where where I know that I can probably get a trade. You guys would know this. If you're in a couple of leagues, some leagues are better for trading than others. Some people like trades more than others. And James Harden is somebody who, if you've got some naive owners in there, or players or guys who just look at games in isolation or per game value, James Harden is somebody that you could definitely trade. And that's what I'm looking to do. So per game, I think he's great. Do I think that he's going to be there for the playoff postseason or fantasy postseason? I'm unsure about. Do I think that there could be games that come down to the wire on a Sunday and you find that James Harden's day-to-day and missing? Yeah, I do. And I think that could be really frustrating. So if you take Harden, make sure that you're drafting some really durable guys in your second and third rounds, because and I think you also really need to take D'Anthony Melton into consideration the back end of your drafts, because if Harden misses, D'Anthony Melton could slide into the starting lineup. Tyrese Maxey will be in the starting lineup anyway. But I think that if you're drafting Harden, Maxey is probably a must, and Melton is pretty close to that as well. So take one of those two. Then rounding out the top 10, I've got Trae Young. Trae, again, he's very similar to Steph and to Lillard. Trae cops a lot of heat and a lot of haters because he's a bit of a flog. He's very arrogant for somebody who hasn't really done much in his career to date. But statistically, it's all we care about for fantasy. And statistically speaking, he's decent from the field. He's great from the line on high volume. He's going to get you 3 or so triples a game. He's going to get you high points. He's not going to get you anything on rebounds because he's very slight. 8, 9, 10 assists a game. A steal a game, if that. Nothing on the nothing blocks. And he's not too bad whenever it comes to turnovers as well. Again, similar to Harden, where you've got the high assists. So, again, take it all with a grain of salt and look at them in isolation. I certainly wouldn't be taking somebody who's got 4 turnovers a game on 6 assists. Somebody like, let's have a look here. Somebody like Paul George. I think that's really concerning. But yeah, Trae's elite. He plays games, gets it done. They're bringing somebody in to help him out, to free him up as well. So I think that he's going to have another good year. So it rounds out the top 10. At 11, I've got Jason Tatum. I'll be honest, I reckon that the top 10 goes really deep this year. And I think that there is a chance that players that you're getting in the back end of the second round could end up being a top 10, top 5 sort of player. But yeah, Jason Tatum, I don't think that he's going to have too much of a different year to last year. Maybe slightly better. Now that Robert Williams is out, they might slide him up into a small ball 5. But I think he's really good. Good percentages, good triples, good boards, decent assists for 5 assists. A steal, half a block, like a mini Durant. And I think Tatum's really, really good if you're getting him in at the back end of your first. Or even the start of your second, depending on the league size that you're in. This is where it starts to get a little bit interesting, and I potentially cop a little bit of heat, a little bit of hate for some controversial picks that I've got here. At 11, I've got Tyrese Halliburton. The reason for that is, A, I love him. I think he's great. B, he is the best player in a not-so-good team. the Indiana Pacers are going to be really poor this year. I have concerns over a lot of players on their roster. Tyrese Halliburton is not one of them. Concerned about potentially tanking at the end of the season, depending on how many wins they've got. But I will take that, given his output. Good percentages, good triples. He's going to get 20 points a game or thereabouts, maybe even a little bit more. He's going to get 4 rebounds a game. Again, not amazing. 9 assists a game, which is elite. 1.6 steals to 1.8 is elite. Half a block is good. But the thing that I love the most about Tyrese Halliburton is he protects the basketball. He is smart with how he uses it. His assists are high, his turnovers are low, and I think that he is going to be amazing this year. It is bold to take him probably in the top 10. I think it's fine at the start of your second. I just love his output. Statistically, he's just so good. There's no reason why we aren't looking at a Chris Paul in his Chris Paul type numbers, but from a healthier body, from a younger body. I really, really like Tyrese Halliburton. And again, I think he's going to have a really big year. The next one is probably a bit more controversial again. In fact, this is probably out of my top 20. This is probably my most controversial pick. And that's that I've got Darius Garland at 13. I'm not really concerned about Donovan Mitchell coming in. I do think that Darius Garland will take a little bit of a hit when it comes to usage. I think Donovan Mitchell will take a massive hit when it comes to usage. So I think that if we're looking at who's going to drop off more between last season and this season, I think it's going to be Mitchell. The reason why I've got Darius Garland high, again, category leagues, but really good percentages, both field goal and free throw, 2.5 triples a game, 20 points I think is his floor. I think we could see up to about 24 points a game. He doesn't do much on rebounds or blocks or anything like that, but he is going to get you 8 or thereabout assists a game. He's going to get you 1.3 to 1.5 steals a game. And again, he takes care of the basketball. I think that Cleveland are going to have a really good year. Darius Garland had his injury concerns in college, but since he's entered the NBA, he's been really good and really durable. Maybe I have put the absolute moz on it and jinxed it, but I think that he is going to be strong. So I really like Darius Garland. Again, 13 might be a little bit too high, but I think he is a second rounder. And per game, he might not be, but total season value, he will be. And that's what we've got to look at. Again, unless you're in a league where you can trade players willy-nilly, and you've got owners who are happy to do that, I think that in your early picks, in your first 2 rounds, you want to get players who you can count on, and Darius Garland is somebody that I believe that you can count on this year. At 14, we've got Paul George. Paul George is somebody who will probably be a top 10 guy per game, but Paul George misses time. His body is letting him down. Same as his teammate Kawhi's, same as his other teammate John Wall. Paul George, we know that he is elite whenever it comes to the defensive end. We know that he's elite when it comes to triples and points. Really good percentages, decent boards for his position, decent assists for his position. As I kind of mentioned before, he turns the ball over a lot as well. So if we're going to get 5 assists out of him, we're probably going to get 4.5 turnovers out of him, which in 9 category leagues negates that. Also something that you probably need to consider in points leagues as well. 8 category leagues, obviously it's redundant, doesn't really matter. But the thing that we also need to look at is games played. The Clippers have 15 back-to-back sets this year. Stands to reason that through the history of the new Clippers team with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, their games played between them or with them both on the court is limited, so they're going to want to keep them both for the postseason. I expect that we have a absolute minimum of 15 games missed from Paul George. I think that in the lead into the playoffs, he gets managed. And I think around the All-Star break, he might get managed as well. So I would put the over-unders as 20. If we could get 65 games out of Paul George this year, I think that would be a win. I think that we're likely to see less than 60 games for Paul George this year. So that's why he's a second rounder. I would, if I'm taking an injury-prone person in the first round, I'm probably going to struggle to take Paul George in the second round because that's too much risk for me. But he's going to get you 1.8 steals a game. He's going to get you 2 or 3. He's going to get you 3 or 4 triples a game. Really good point. So he's a really good player, but yeah, I'm concerned about his health when it comes to the regular season. Next to Paul George, I've got Bradley Beal. I like Bradley Beal. I could potentially have him a little bit higher, but again, I'm not really sure what Washington are going to do this year. They're either going to be mediocre or they're going to be trash. I think Bradley Beal should have left Washington a while ago, but he's still there, and that's fine. Pardon me. If we're looking at fantasy output, I think that we're going to see Bradley Beal play a decent amount of games. I think we're going to see probably about 70 games. We're going to get good percentages. We're going to get good points. We're going to get 5 boards, 5 assists, a steal and a bit. 25, 26, 27 points per game, potentially more. He has the potential to lead the league in points per game. Bradley Beal is just a stud. And I think having him as a mid-second rounder, I think makes sense. He does a lot everywhere without being elite anywhere, which is a concern. So pairing him up with somebody like if you can pair him up with a Jokic, or you can pair him up with a Lillard, pair him up with a Trey, even pairing him up with an Embiid or Cat, at least you're going to have elite categories in some areas with the nice supporting stats from Bradley Beal. If you're going with somebody like, let's have a look here, somebody like a Jason Tatum and Bradley Beal, I think that might be a little bit tough because it's mainly for category leagues, because you're not going to be elite anywhere. Percentages withstanding and points withstanding. You need more than that. So you need somebody who's going to get you 10, 12 boards a game, 10 assists a game. So yeah, keep that in mind with Bradley Beal. But he's a really good supporting player who is just an absolute stud. Kawhi Leonard, I've got at 16, mainly for the per game output. He is so good. Be really good to see him back on the basketball court as well. Everything just looked really slow whenever Kawhi Leonard's got the ball. He's always got time. He always makes the right decision. And I think that we're going to see a bit of a resurgence from him. Again, 60 is the over-under number, 4 games played, same as Paul George. And I think that if he does play, and he does play well, which I don't expect otherwise, we're going to see a really good percent. We're going to see close to 50% from the field. We're going to see close to 90% from the line. We're going to see close to 2 triples, 20-odd points, 7 rebounds, 4.5, 5 assists per game, close to 1.5 to 1.6 steals, half a block, and he protects the ball really well, as I said. So you're maybe looking at 1.5, 2 turnovers, negligible. So yeah, I like Kawhi from a per game value. I just am unsure about him from a total season, because again, I don't think he plays as many games as we would like. LeBron, I've got at 17. I don't think too much needs to be said about LeBron. He continues to defy Father Time. He's going to get close to a triple-double every single game. It's a shame for the Lakers that he is still the guy. Obviously, we want to see LeBron play well, but we also want to see some people. I am one of the people who wants to see LeBron win, and I think that it's really tough whenever he is I don't even know how old he is, 58, and still the best player on the team. Somebody else needs to help stand up. AD should be that guy, needs to be that guy. But anyway, LeBron is going to get you normal LeBron numbers. Good percentage from the field, bad from the line. Couple of triples a game, 25 odd points, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, a steal, a block. That's what you're going to get from LeBron. A few places have got his turnovers at the 3 number. I think it's going to be higher than that. Just because, yes, he's a good passer, but sometimes he just gets his teammates either aren't cottoning on or he just doesn't make the right call. But I think LeBron is... Last year, he was the 6th overall player per game. Again, you can make an argue that he is going to be a top 5 guy this year per game value. But I just don't think he's going to be because the game's played. So that's why I've got LeBron at 17. 18, I've got Fred VanVleet. I love me some FVV. I'm not really sure of Toronto this year. Every single season, I am a bit unsure about their lineup. I mean, he's got his role, but I'm not really sure what they're doing. Fred VanVleet, he misses time, and Nick Nurse plays his starting lineup into the absolute ground. He runs them ragged. His field goal percentage is horrible. Barely makes over 40% of his shots. He's decent from the field. He's decent whenever it comes to his turnovers, his assists, and his steals. Points and triples are good. Again, I'm a bit concerned about, games played, but FEV is good. You just need to be mindful of the fact that he doesn't get you too much outside of points, triples, assists, and steals. So take that with a grain of salt. At number 19, I've got LaMelo Ball. In all fairness, I could probably have him a little bit higher, but my concerns with LaMelo is more about his team. Whenever I heard that, with Miles Bridges' uncertainty to play this season, or for the rest of his career, they don't really have anybody else. Gordon Hayward is not that good. McDaniels, I think, is going to have a nice year, but again, he's not that great. Mark Williams, PJ Washington, Terry Rozier should have a nice season. But LaMelo is the guy there. I'm just concerned that Charlotte are going to be really poor. But having said that, I am having some regrets on having LaMelo this low. I could probably have him a couple of spots higher. He's decent from the line. Strong from the line. Good triples, good boards, good assists, good steals. Decent points, getting you 20-odd points a game. Not great from the field. Doesn't get you anything on the block side as well. But I think whenever it comes to point guards in the early rounds, you can't go too wrong with LaMelo. And if you can get him as a second-round guy, probably even an early second-round guy, as I said, regrets putting him this low. I'd probably put him almost up to your above Kawhi Leonard's, almost up to your 15th, 14th overall, as opposed to 19th. But anywhere in that range, I think LaMelo is really good value. Again, if you want LaMelo, go out and get LaMelo. If you want him at the end of your first, start of your second, go get him. He isn't going to be too dissimilar whenever it comes to statistical output to Tyrese Haliburton, who I've obviously got as a end of your first, start of your second. So I can see the value in going after LaMelo. The reason why I've got somebody like Tyrese slightly higher. Percentages, for one. I think from the field, Tyrese Haliburton is better. I also think that Tyrese Haliburton's floor is higher as well. He's got enough pieces around him to make him look good. I think that Indiana will be better than Charlotte if Miles Bridges doesn't play. And I think that the assist to turnover ratio is just elite whenever it comes to Tyrese Haliburton. And then rounding out your top 20, there I've got Kyrie Irving. Kyrie, per game, is a stud. He can't play in Canada, though, because of the vaccination regulations. He misses time a lot, whether that's through injury, whether that's through personality clashes, whether that's through politics, whether that's because of the star signs that are misaligned. Who bloody knows? Kyrie misses time, and he will continue to miss time. In fact, whenever he was renegotiating his contract, I think he had a clause, or wanted to put in a clause for 60 games, which shows you where his mindset is. Similar to some other players that I've spoken about in the past, he's been pretty outspoken about his disdain for the regular season, and that he really only wants to play playoffs. He's a big game player. Per game, he's an absolute monster, but he's just not going to show up. He's going to miss time. Especially if Brooklyn is somewhat decent, then I think we could see Kyrie resting in inverted commas there. The output, as I said, is great. Really good from the field, really good from the line, really good triples, great points. I think he's going to be a 6.5 assist kind of guy. He's going to get you a steal and a bit. He's going to get you half a block. Protects the ball really well. He's only going to get you 2 and a bit turnovers. Rebounds, kind of a bit negligible. 3.5, 4. But Kyrie is a stud. Really good to watch as well. I hope that a trade can be made for Kyrie to go across to the Lakers. I think if that happens, Kyrie plays more games. But that's just a gut feeling. I've got no stats to back that up. I just think that he plays more games if he plays with LeBron. But yeah, that's the top 20. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. I've got more. I've got top 204 in the draft guide and in the cheat sheet. You probably see that there are some pretty glaring omissions there. I don't have Anthony Davis in my top 20. I think games played there is a concern. Jimmy Butler, games played there is a concern. I think Vooch in the third round is a steal. Who else am I missing here? Donovan Mitchell. A lot of people are going to have him in the second. DeJounte Murray. A lot of people are going to have him in the second. Anthony Edwards, right on the cusp. I think he's going to have a nice year, but can't have everybody in there. So that's my top 20. Again, category leagues, taking into account 8 category and 9 category. But yeah, all the best. Let us know how your drafts go. Got any questions, do let me know. Jump onto TikTok. I'm more active on that whenever it comes to responses. Yeah, best of luck. Thanks again for listening. Don't forget to rate and subscribe.